Welcome to the Healing Project Behind the Scenes YouTube channel. If you or anyone in your family and friends would like to show your support towards the Healing Project, feel free to order one or more of our t-shirts. Simply email us at allwedoiswinforyou@gmail.com. All proceeds goes towards the funding of the ongoing Healing Project documentary. If you would like to support our team, you can Cash App us at the profile provided in the description below. Any support by you is greatly appreciated by our team. Thank you. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we have Summer Douglas, and she's going to be interviewing Cheri Clarke. And Cheri has an interesting story, but what we're doing different today is we are doing our first live Zoom video. So we're going to start releasing these videos, these shorts, to keep getting the message of healing. Keep getting the message out as far as what is going on in the ex-Jehovah's Witness community as well as the Jehovah's Witness community. Right now, there is a big push and a spread, and I'm feeling that things are, the frontliners and the work that they've been doing for so many years that actually helped you and I to get to the point that we're at. These frontliners have been doing their work, and I'm seeing that they're getting a lot more support now. And I think that the more that we support each other, then the faster things will get accomplished that we truly want to get accomplished. So today, I'm going to keep this very short, and we'll be giving more updates. We've been doing a lot of interviews, and it has been the most amazing journey of my life. And the amount of people that we're meeting on a daily basis is extraordinary. And all these stories that need to be heard. These platforms that are opening up are allowing for these stories to get out there. For people to understand more. Because it's a very closed niche community. And we all know that. So the more that the message comes out, then the better things will be. This is one of our actually longest YouTube videos that we're putting out. Most of the stuff that you've been seeing is things that have been behind the scenes. But this one is going to be good. And enjoy it. Enjoy it. You're going to get hooked in. But again, this interview is our first live, and I hope you enjoy it. We'll be back soon. I'll see you soon.
All right, so I'm joined today by Cheri Clarke Spitzer, all the way in Arkansas. Hello!
Listen to me through these hollers and hills.
I'm so happy you thought enough to join me today for a virtual meeting and a meeting of the minds and just a little chat. So we're gonna start off with the cheers.
Happy hour.
Happy hour. Cheers. Virtual cheers. So I know that you reached out to us. You're part of the Healing Project community. And I know you reached out to us to engage and to be a part of the docuseries that we're doing for the Healing Project. And I know that you're all the way in Arkansas, and you had the amazing idea to like, let's just do a virtual call and let's just talk, and get some things out there, because we do plan on coming to that area soon, coming soon. But until
Yeah.
then, we can definitely get the ball rolling. So if you just want to talk to us about, how long you've been Jehovah's Witness and, what's going on currently with you.
Yeah. Um, I am third generation born in. Um, I don't know how my father's mother became a witness, but I know she was one. My dad was raised one. I was raised one. I do know the story on my mother's side, and that's that my grandmother got a knock at the door and started studying and attending meetings and got baptized. She did. My grandfather never did. But he was a talker and a friend to everyone. So he was involved and friendly, but he passed away a number of years ago. Um, and they bore two children, and my uncle never became a witness, but my mom did. And then of course my mom and dad met and had me, and um just it's really all that I ever knew. And I think I love to hear how much Ray Franz's book, Crisis of Conscience, has helped other ex Jehovah's Witnesses. And I'm in the process of reading that book now, but I really got to thinking about him. And if he had a crisis of conscience, I think what I've realized now, 2.5 years into my own mental health journey and healing, that I had an identity crisis.
Yeah. Talk
Because
about that, please.
yes,
Because I think that's something that
well,
a lot of people don't know or understand. So let's talk about that.
yeah, because now that I think back, and I've tried to go as far back as possible, I would say let's back it up all the way to being a little girl, um, 4 or 5 years old, sitting in the Kingdom Hall, flipping through my book of Bible storybooks,
Mm.
and just as much as a little kid is enthralled in that paradise picture. And I'm already picking out that I'm gonna have like a pet lion, and
Yep.
I'll add some pandas and
That's me
monkeys or
right there.
something.
That's me over
Yeah.
there. No, that's you. You over
And
there.
as much as that's like exciting, and any kid would be like, oh, this is great, I'm gonna do this for my whole life. I guess I still believe in God, so I will reference him a lot in this conversation if that's okay. But
Absolutely.
um I guess God instilled in me critical thinking and independence, because as much as I felt like I was sitting there at 5 years old ready to get my pet lion any day now, I also was like, where is New York City gonna go? How are we gonna look at the interstate system around just America? Like, and I'm like, where's all this stuff gonna go? Like, how's the whole earth really gonna be a paradise? And I had like all these questions and these wonders, and it just never felt like something was right. And the older I got, and the more I understood, and the more I developed critical thinking and independence and questions, I never bought into the sales pitch.
Yeah.
But I played the role. I was a people pleaser. I wanted to make everybody proud. What kid doesn't?
Yep.
There was some mental instability in my family. There was some child molestation that happened to me, not related to the Jehovah's Witnesses, but it was a female family member. That happened to me at a young age for a number of years, as I would go up out of state and visit with those family members. So I think it was a compilation of, I want to believe in this religion and these ideas and these teachings, but I don't. Also have abuse that happened to me that went unaddressed, untreated. And now I'm really able to clearly look at my parents as the people that they are, with the personality traits that they have. And I realize where I got my anger and my temper. And so by the time I transitioned into a teenager, I was extremely rebellious,
Mhm.
probably disrespectful, but also battling with, oh my gosh, I'm going to die in Armageddon. And, and so just like a real tug of war mentally and emotionally. And it just, I think it led me not to be a very good person. And then when you're not a very good person, you get shunned and you get disciplined. And it just made me even more angry. And I had this identity crisis of where I feel so much guilt that I'm not what people want me to be,
Mhm.
but I'm so wrong for
Mhm.
wanting to be who I think I truly am.
Well, you're created to be, right?
And that went on for 35 years.
Wow.
I turned 35 just this past March. And I have felt for a couple of years like this was going to be a turning point.
Mhm.
Um, and, because I've had some real conversations with myself and with therapists and other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and with God. And um, I flat out asked, I was like, if I'm such this wonderful person, why did I go through all this crap? And he told me plain as day, so you can relate.
Hmm.
And sure enough, I do my best when I help other people.
Yeah.
And while I am in quite a storm right now, um, and it is overwhelming and it is full of anxiety. That's why I reached out.
Yeah.
That's why I got up at 4 a.m. for a Zoom call with Floyd Evans just the other morning. Um, yeah, when you were like, we're an hour apart, I was like, no problem, because Lloyd's in Croatia. So when it's noon for him, it's 4 a.m. here. It's like, I can work with an hour.
Do what it takes, right? I love it. I
So,
love it.
I just really started thinking about this community that has started to form, like you said, and probably the best way to deal with all my angst and everything that I even have currently going on and what I still need to heal from.
Mhm.
I was just like, I can't sit on this questionnaire anymore. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna see if she wants to get on Zoom and
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah.
Um, because here's where I'm at with the questionnaire. I've started it and then I had to go on to post-its because I'm all about the details. But I got about halfway through it and I was just like, I'm not gonna be able to finish
Right.
this. Um, I'll still send it, but
No,
anyways, I was just like, wow, let's just do this. So
yeah.
especially with what I'm dealing with, where I feel like my child is being oh man, hunted might be a strong word. It
Hmm.
might not be. I don't know. Um, like I said, if you're unaware of some of the talks that happened at just this past convention,
Yeah, fill us in on
where
those if you have some knowledge for the people that haven't had a
they
chance to
are
watch.
just, they are sounding more and more desperate, the governing body is, for donations.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's been a letter leaked to the congregation elders that if they know anybody with legal experience, don't go out and get higher education. No, 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 don't do that. But if you have legal experience, we could really use your help at Bethel right now.
I
Why?
bet.
Why do you need attorneys? Why do you need money? What's going on? I thought this was a perfect
Yeah.
organization. I thought all of this child abuse stuff was lies. This is persecution. This is Satan coming after you. But if Satan's coming after you, why are you asking for people with all these talents to become available?
That's right.
So this is where I'm at, where I know the truth. My parents don't. I have this instinct to protect my child. She she knows a lot about the witnesses, and she's participated through my parents, and then she's seen me not be a witness for the last 7 or 8 years.
Mm.
My goal is still the same, that I want her to know both sides of the coin and make her own decisions.
Right. Right.
But I'm not being afforded that opportunity now. Yeah. Are you going back over to your friends? Okay. All right. Have fun. That was my daughter. She likes to hang out with the neighbor girl.
Nice.
So, so now, I mean, and again, she's 14 with her own beliefs and her own ideas. And that's not okay with my parents. And to be honest, Summer, I really expected better from them. You can hate on me, you can shun me, you can plain not love me anymore, but I expected you to be a better version for your granddaughter.
Yeah.
And after the events that happened on the weekend of the 21st and 22nd of August, so just about 3 weeks ago, history is on repeat. She was called stupid. She was called a disrespectful teenager. She was told by my 57-year-old father, it's your fault. Your friends at school are taking you away and causing a gap between you and me. All because she wouldn't look at jw.org.
Wow.
Because she wouldn't watch the videos.
Wow.
And the evening before that was her giving some positive comments or some kudos while she was riding in the car with my mom and saw a gay pride flag hang out outside someone's home as they're just, driving back to my parents' house or whatever. She just was kind of like, oh, hey, yeah, good job, and she was just kind of giving it a thumbs up. She's got a lot of friends. The neighbor girl, she's on her way to right now, identifies in certain ways, and she's 14 and figuring life out herself as well. So it's all good.
Right.
These kids aren't doing anything that is harmful to themselves or others. And my mom just immediately goes off on a tangent about anti-homosexual stuff. And my daughter did amazing, standing up for herself. And my mom's like, do you want me to show you from the scriptures how Jehovah feels about homosexuality? And Adrian's like, no, I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. It's not going to change my opinion.
Right.
But unfortunately, the narrative is a repeat of history. The way they're treating her, talking to her is so.
It's like you seeing it again, like how they were treating you as a teenager.
When I really thought they would have such a loyalty to their granddaughter, they would take her however she came. That, to have her a little bit is better than nothing at all, or to have her a little bit, she'll eventually become a witness.
Right.
But she supports the LGBT community. She has thoughts and opinions. She's only 14, but she's very mature for her age. And I'm also seeing the repeat on critical thinking and this I am who I am. Because she's even like that with her peers. She's not chasing boys like some of her friends. She identifies as female. She's comfortable being a female. She's got her own thoughts and beliefs on the vaccination right now. And we just let her be who she wants to be. And again, there's nothing really concerning us right now. She's figuring out life, and there's always conversations happening in our house. And I really think that's the way kids need to be raised, because you even try to adapt them to, well, my dad was a doctor, I'm a doctor, you're going to be a doctor. What if that kid didn't want to be a doctor?
Right.
And he goes through crap and he's shunned in his own family, and Jehovah's Witnesses aren't even involved in that situation. There's no history of a cult in that. It was just like, you're not going to take over the family business. I'm like, no, because that kid doesn't identify as a doctor. So let him go be a mechanic or something, So when you talk about healing widespread, You can even, be able to heal somebody like that. Like, it's okay that there's generations of doctors in your family, and it's okay that you're not a doctor.
Right.
You're allowed to be who you want to be. So the incidents of that weekend were alarming, sobering, uh, scary, awful familiar, way too familiar.
How was that like
Um,
for you to see that kind of in repeat? Like what was your mental state or your emotions to kind of like watch your daughter go through the same things that you went through like 15 years ago, like, or 20 years ago? Like what was that like for you?
it definitely set off the mama bear in me, which I'll take a lot of crap until you flip that switch. And then it's just, there's no stopping me because I'm very anti-confrontational. I'm still a people pleaser.
Well, you're
I'm
the
still a
Jehovah's Witness, right?
peacemaker.
Exactly.
I was to that
Good
part. Yeah,
thing
I
then,
was a
right?
little bit. Um, so, but it was also eye-opening because, like I said, I really expected my parents to be different or better or more lenient with her. And they are so brainwashed.
Did that break your heart a
They
little bit to see them treat her
It
like
does,
they treated
because
you?
coming to that realization of who they really are had to come at the same time of, I'm not going to be able to save my parents.
Mm,
Almost like you said, I hope someday they see an interview. I hope someday they see something I wrote. I hope it's somebody else. I hope it's a moment at the Kingdom Hall, whatever. Like, I really hope I didn't become a smart critical thinker. I didn't become the actual fantastic person I am organically. I inherited a lot of great traits from my
right,
parents. My mom
right.
is very witted. She's very quick. She's funny. My dad is attention to detail. He's very organized. They're both very creative
Your
and
dad
very
was filling out that
outgoing.
questionnaire.
Yeah, there it is. And the post-its. And so I know a lot of their good traits because I carry them every day and I see them in my daughter.
Mm,
And I'm also learning the truth about the truth.
mm-hmm.
And I see those talents being snuffed out
Yeah,
and controlled and manipulative. And now I've watched them be controlling and manipulative to me, now to Adrian, and we're done. We're
right.
done. And it was funny, right before this incident, I think I really came to a realization of, I'm not going to save my parents.
Mm,
And I actually think this cult is where they belong.
hmm.
It's coming to a realization that you're never going to get them back. You're never going to save them. Plus, they're exactly where they want to be. They
So how
want
did
to be
you,
controlling and manipulative. So they're going to thrive in an environment that's controlling and manipulative. So you have to realize, like, take your hand back, take the life preserver away, and say, okay, it's only Cheri now. And it's what Cheri can control and what I'm responsible for. And I'm responsible for my daughter Adrian, but I'm
right,
not responsible for my parents.
right. I'm glad you mentioned that because I think that oftentimes when we leave, of course, we want everybody else to have that awakening moment.
Hmm.
Doesn't come for everybody. And I think that sometimes you do feel like guilt, you feel shame, you feel regret, all of those things because you want them to be enlightened and you want them to be able to be themselves, right? Like you said, they have so many characteristics that are outside of being a Jehovah's Witness that make them wonderful people. And, the people that, we all have, people that are involved with the Healing Project, we all have family that is still in it and we love them deeply. We just want them to, if they don't decide to wake up and they feel like this is where they belong, like you said, we want them to be able to accept us for who
Yeah.
we are, just like we accept them for who they are.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like I would still love my family if they decide to be a Jehovah's Witness, if that's what they want to do. If that's what makes them happy, then go right ahead and do it. But let me also, like be myself, because I'm still
Yeah.
trying to figure out who that is. After being told who I was for the first half of my life, now trying to figure out, who I am, and embracing that is something altogether in itself different. So
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you touched on allowing them to be in the environment where they are. Did you arrive to that decision easily? Like how, what moment of clarity came to you? Like when you're like, I just have to let go.
Um, I think it was I think it was always there, but I didn't want to believe it because I thought, no, there may be like some like crazy thing, right? Um, I'll say something or something will happen. And I flat out just got like I just got brave and started even the conversation. There were some changes going on in my parents' life, some downsizing, some moves, some things that were to anybody else would be concerning and you would be like, okay, this kind of feels like a step back. Instead, my parents were like in this delusion of, we've simplified, this is going to help us serve Jehovah better, we're still living our best life ever. And you're like, no, no,
Right.
no, you're pretty much moving backwards real fast,
Like if you only knew how fun being worldly is.
So true.
You are not
And so
anywhere close.
I guess it just really kind of made an opportunity for me to go to my parents and say, like, I'm concerned for you,
Mhm.
and I'm concerned for these reasons, and see what I could touch on.
Mhm.
I started one-on-one with my dad. We got about 10 to 15 minutes in it. And as soon as I think I mentioned the elder's manual,
Mhm.
um, he kicked me out of the house.
Shut down. Yeah. Mhm.
He said, I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't think you do either. I need you to get out. Okay. And I was like, I did get to pop off. I said, this is the only true religion, and you're this defensive about it.
Mhm. Right.
Now, my mom and I got on the phone, I think like the next day. She let me go on for 45 minutes. I talked about the Elders Manual. I talked about child sexual abuse. I talked about a whole community of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that are healing and coming together. And I'm like, there's a lot of people without their mommy and daddy. And if I can't have my mommy and daddy, I plan to go and help people who don't have that anymore. Um, I used the analogy. I said, Mom, you are in a burning building, and I know for a fact that it's a burning building. And while it's not my responsibility to drag you out of that building, I will always stand outside that burning building and wait for you to come out.
Mhm.
And the cognitive dissonance was so strong with my mother. And just on repeat, she just kept saying, this is a perfect organization ran by imperfect men.
Mhm.
And it was after that attempt, after that blatant information and a quick shutdown, blatant information, but still, got to talk for 45 minutes, still didn't get it. Like, I had two completely different conversations with both of my parents, and I got absolutely nowhere, is when I started the process of, wait a minute, what if they like the burning building? you know,
Right.
Here I'm thinking my mom may not smell the smoke, but when she sees the pile of rags burning in the corner, she'll be like, oh crap, we got to get out of here.
Mhm.
And I thought, no, what if my mother's like getting the marshmallows out,
Right.
And I'm like,
Tired.
and then I really started thinking about how controlling and manipulative and narcissistic my parents are, and those attributes of their personality. And I'm like,
Mm.
What if they started a few of the fires over in the corner?
There you
Like, what if they're
go.
pyromaniacs? Like,
There you
and
go.
so it was just like this continuing to heal and take care of Cheri and realize I'm never going to save them. Oh, wait, what if they're happy where they are? Oh, wow, I have to detach for a minute and say, that's not my mom and dad. These are who they are as people.
Mhm.
And maybe this is where they need to be.
Right.
So I was already getting to that point, and then as soon as I saw them, I really thought that they would hold on to being grandparents. Like I mentioned before, I really thought at the end of the day, a relationship with their granddaughter nonetheless would be more important than anything. And the second my kid got jw.org shoved down her throat, was called stupid and a disrespectful teenager, I was super done. Because I'm
Yeah.
just like, you are the pyromaniac. You have probably started your own fires. You are cozy and warm. You want to be in this burning building. We got to go. We got to go.
Yeah, like a lot of ex Jehovah's Witnesses, they think that, well, if I have a child, then maybe that'll bring my parents around. Like maybe that'll open up their eyes. Maybe then they'll see, something bigger, so I can understand why you put like all of your hopes and, like dreams in your child to kind of be that band-aid. But as you said, they just don't want to hear it. And my thing is, if it is the true religion, if the truth is the truth, then why do you feel the need to defend it? Because the truth never needs to be defended. Lies need to be defended, but not the
I've seen
truth.
that meme. Yep. I've seen
Oh,
that meme.
yeah.
Something about like the truth is never offended when it's challenged, but
Hmm.
a lie is overly defensive when it's challenged.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's what I have started to see in them. And so um it was I was gonna say something about what we had touched on earlier and it slipped my mind, but um I think it was that I've carried a lot of guilt because I should have shut this down 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
My husband has never been a witness, and his biggest question was like, if you're shunned and you're dead to them, why is Adrian alive? Like, if they don't have a daughter, then they don't have a granddaughter. Because
Right.
he started being offended that my mom would overly like gush on him.
Hmm.
Here he is, this worldly guy, but she's like, oh, my son-in-law, oh, look, my son and my son. And he's like, but your daughter's dead to you. So how do you have a son-in-law then? Like, he was really kind of breaking it down. And I was like, I know. But again, I was trying to do the best that I thought I could do. I was trying to be fair. I didn't want to be the bitch to cut my kid off. I hope we're allowed to cuss. Um, okay. If
Yeah.
not,
Be
you can put
yourself.
that cool little beep,
No, you're
makes
fine.
me sound cool. But I was just like, I don't want to be the bad guy that cuts everybody off. I don't want to be controlling. I don't want Adrian mad at me. I don't want my parents mad at me because what if it all goes fine? What if they're the greatest grandparents ever and Adrian's great and Adrian does whatever she wants and we're all happy at the end of the day. So I've carried a lot of guilt because I allowed way, way, way too much. And I'm sure I'm not the only woman or the mom that has not been able to stand up for herself or do maybe what the right thing was. But I am now
What do you
because
say to those mothers that
you've
are,
proved yourself. Like you've proved you can't be trusted. You can't stay in your lane. You can't just have a relationship with your grandchild at the end of the day. You sure as hell can't let her make her own decisions because we're only at 14 and you're flipping out because she supports the gay community and she's just taking a break from the Jehovah's Witness stuff right now. Wow. And you're already freaking out this much. So it's like, okay, I didn't shut it down 7 years ago, but I have 4 more years left with my kid before she's 18, and I'm shutting it down now.
yeah.
So especially once it started getting to the physical aspect of it.
Mm.
The weekend where all these incidents happened, after the gay pride flag, after the commentary with my father and my daughter, I guess my mom tried to get everybody to sit down and talk it all out. So it's my mom and my dad and Adrian, and she's still over there trying to have a weekend visit. She's all 25 hours into a 48-hour weekend over there. And they sit down to try to have a talk. Adrian's not having anything to do with it, tries to leave the conversation and leave the room. My mom grabbed her by the arm. Adrian had to push my mom to get her to let go so that she could then exit the room, left the house entirely, and went into the backyard to call me, to say, I need picked up now. This was the third phone call we had gotten from her in 25 hours where she's upset for practically being verbally attacked. Now we've grabbed the arm. Now we've had to push grandma and leave. I want picked up. I want out of here. We go and pick her up. I don't even know where I'm at. So when my husband and I drive over there, I don't even get out of the truck. I don't engage. I don't even knock on the door. I'm just texting Adrian on the way, and we're all on Life 360. So she can see our little bubble. She knows when we've arrived. I'm texting her. She comes out. We leave. Everything's pretty peaceful, but not a word from my mom and dad. Sat by my phone all night, expecting even just a bull crap text, of, hey, sorry the weekend didn't work out, whatever. Not a word, not a word all the next Sunday. So Sunday afternoon, as the parent and as the adult,
Right.
I try to go have a discussion with the other adults. And the conversation goes fine for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. We first start with like family dynamics and family history, and I was even able to look right at my dad, and I told him that he was controlling, narcissistic, and that he was gaslighting.
Yeah.
And my mom turned to him and said, she's right to a certain point. And I'm
Wow.
like, wow, like, can't believe how much I'm getting away with.
Right.
But there's always a but. The second it turned to the religion, shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
And yeah, I legitimately let cult slip, which is like the worst 4-letter words you can say to Jehovah's Witness. Whoopsie.
Immediately shut down when you say that.
Yeah. The second I said that, it was just pure anarchy. My dad came at me, put his hand around my throat, pushed me up against the wall, and said, if you say one more word, I'm going to hurt you.
My goodness.
And let me repeat myself. I called him controlling, narcissistic, and that he did gaslighting, and he never came at me. But the second I referred to the Jehovah's Witnesses as a cult, I was up against the wall with his hand around my throat. That's your only true religion, folks. That's your God-chosen people right there.
Right.
Real godly, Dad. Real godly.
Not at all. I'm so sorry you had to go through and experience that, especially by your father.
I appreciate that because it was really scary. And I know there's a lot of people that have been in that circumstance, and it's been real, and it's been worse. So I certainly don't want to make light of it or anybody else's similar experiences. But what I will tell you is my dad has worked construction his whole life, and he's always had this feel to his hands. And Summer, I don't recall his touch on my skin. I don't remember feeling pressure. My airway wasn't constricted. I remember kind of bumping my head on the wall because, I went back.
Right.
But as soon as it happened, I also heard and felt prominently on my left side, it's okay, I'm allowing this.
Hmm.
It's okay, I'm allowing this. I heard it twice.
Hmm.
I guess it was almost because it's like, it literally takes me that long to be done,
Right.
but it's almost like I've never had to go so far where I was really hurt. Not recently, in the past I did, because I was first disfellowshipped at 18. I was out for 5 years. It was the classic story of getting into the world, getting chewed, and getting spit back out.
Yeah.
I did a lot of horrible things. A lot of horrible things were done to me, especially after I had Adrian and went through a divorce and was a single mom. I went back. I wrote a letter. I got reinstated. I was an auxiliary pioneer. I was back for 3 years. I went to unassigned territory. We had the district overseer over for dinner, and every circuit overseer I could think of. Like, I gave it everything I could to be the best witness ever,
Hmm.
um, just to be out again
Yeah.
and realize I can't do this. I still don't buy the sales pitch. Um, so post all of that, it's like it's gotten bad, but it's not gotten really, really bad.
Yeah.
And and maybe it's too because I'm healing and I'm growing and I'm trying to take even those experiences um, as signs
Hmm.
and signals that, you're not wrong.
Right.
Finally, Cheri, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Right.
And maybe it takes that physical altercation to really flip the switch in you. But at the same time, I'm like weird confirmation that I have proof. Now I have something tangible I can hold you to. This isn't an argument over cult, not cult.
Right.
My beliefs, your beliefs. Who's right, who's wrong. You have broke the law, and I'm going to hold you accountable. And
Right.
it's going to heal and strengthen me, and show my daughter,
Exactly.
what she's even, capable of, and that it's okay to stand up for yourself. So, um,
And
I
you
I
saw
share all of that and reached out to you guys just because, again, I can't be the only one that's engaging with active Jehovah's Witnesses, that those active Jehovah's Witnesses are going crazy.
Yeah.
The fact is not only did that happen, but my parents completely denied any of it happening.
Right.
I have a copy of the police report. They told the officers I came over screaming and yelling,
Hmm.
that my dad placed his hand on my shoulder, used his left hand to open the front door, and that he nudged me or pushed me out and asked me to leave, but that he never grabbed me by the throat. And so I'm like, you're blatantly lying. You're telling of events that never happened. No one touched my shoulders that whole
Right.
incident. No
Right.
one touched here. But now this area is a different story.
Right.
And I'm just like, you are blatantly lying. They lied to my daughter, and she's seeing all of that. She's unfortunately seeing who they really are. And so she's kind of seeing it from a harsh perspective as well. But I share in the essence of, you're not alone, no matter what those engagements are like when you have to have them. Or if they're like that, it's okay to hold that person accountable. And especially if you're in a state like I am, there are no grandparent rights. I owe my parents nothing when it comes to Adrian. I don't have to be okay with visitation. I don't have to allow phone conversations or in-person contact. I don't owe them anything. And
Right.
if you personally struggle with standing up for yourself or standing up for your family or your children, you are not alone in that, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And if you need somebody to talk to that says, I struggled as well until I finally got to the point where I couldn't stand by anymore and allow this to happen. I'm here for you. Um, Especially after this last summer's convention where David Splain literally went on a 34-minute rant about apostates, to the point where he said to the rank and file witness, if a person is found guilty in the courts or found guilty by man, it doesn't mean that they're guilty in the eyes of God.
Hmm.
I think they're trying to prepare the members for them being held accountable for the child sexual abuse cases that keep coming out.
Yeah. So let me guess, the
And
justice system is an imperfect system run by imperfect people. So
so
therefore,
even
even
if
if
they
they
come
find them
after
guilty,
us
they're not
and
guilty.
put us in jail, that doesn't mean we're guilty in Jehovah's eyes. And it's like, no, but you are.
Right.
You
I
are.
just want
You've
to take a
abused children.
pause and just say that I want to acknowledge the fact that you literally risked your life. Do you understand? Like, do you understand? I don't know if you had a moment to think about it, but you literally risked your life to try to win over your parents, to really kind of wake them up. And I think that that is amazing, that you, and that just says something about you as a person and not about that religion, that you had enough love in your heart to, even after they got physical with your daughter, to go back over there and still have enough love to be like, hey, let's make things right. Let's try to get on the same page. Let me tell you, exactly how I'm feeling, because I don't want to lose you as my family. I want you to still be here for me. And the fact that it got so physical and that your life was kind of like in danger is really serious. And I think that, and I'm so happy that you're brave enough to talk about that, because I really feel like this is going to help a lot of people. We have a lot of people, even on our team, that are going through a battle when it comes to their children. And I'm so happy that you thought enough of us to share your story and to be so open and candid about it, because we do want to offer, like you said, that resource, for people.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry that that happened to you, but I just want to commend you for just having so much love in your heart to be able to do that, even not even being an apostate that's
Yeah.
supposed to be this evil person. I'm so happy that you had enough love in your heart to even try to make things right, with
Yeah.
your parents. And even if it, almost cost you, physical altercation or even your life, I mean, that's amazing. And I know that's probably what it took in order for you to be like, okay,
Yeah.
that's it. I can't really
It
do
was
anything else.
almost like it was almost too like I was coming to terms that I wouldn't have a relationship with my parents, and that's fine. I'm 35 years old, and I can figure out how to navigate without my mom and dad. But I really wanted my daughter to be able to have her grandparents at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, so where maybe I have guilt for allowing too much, I also have just genuine was like trying to do the right thing. And now I'm even having to sever that relationship, which is really hard and really hard for my daughter to handle. Um, so, even to folks that maybe they have put their foot down and they don't allow visitation like I did, and their kids don't have as much interaction with their active Jehovah's Witness parents or relatives like I allowed. Even if they're just in that moment of I'm putting my foot down and I struggle putting my foot down, like I get you, and let me commend you for putting your foot down in the first place, because I have so much backtracking I have to do. Like I imagine it's probably just as hard to put your foot down early and continue that as it is to put your foot down and have to now work back and undo all that you allowed. So um And then maybe just a word of caution too, don't fall into the trap that I did.
Yeah.
If your parents, especially if it's that child and parent relationship, if they were one way with you, they're probably going to be like that with your children. A woman may see this who's pregnant right now,
Mhm.
and she's like, they talk to me here and there, and they were kind of letting me just do my thing, and I think I'll go ahead and tell them when the baby's born. I'll let them come and visit. Pray about that. Think about that, and do a lot of meditation and self-reflection on who are you actually dealing with? What were they like as they treated you? Do you really think they've changed? You might want to rethink your plan of action.
What has this been like for your daughter emotionally? How has
Extremely
she?
difficult.
Yeah, I can
She
imagine.
is worried she's never going to see her grandparents again. She still struggles with a lot of loyalty and love. Um, I know she sees me changing for the better. I know one day she'll really see what I'm doing and why I did it. But it doesn't change the fact that I also have a 14-year-old and that she gets angry. She gets angry with me. Um, I do have to be the bitch. I do have to be the bad guy. And that's really hard, especially when I have a really good kid. Like, you know, I've never had to bust her for smoking or drugs or chasing boys or, and she's a B student and she's a really good kid. It's been really hard to like be a mom, like really like be authoritative. I
Right.
don't, it's not really my jive, but I, but I have to remember like, um, I'm this apostate mama bear now.
Yeah.
That might
Yeah.
be my YouTube channel name. I don't know. We'll see.
Apostate mama bear. I like it. I like that. Absolutely. You make your own little
Because
logo
I
and
just,
everything.
at the end of the day, I've got to protect my cub, and I'm not. Um, I sure as hell I'm not going to let her go through the emotional and mental abuse that I went through. Like I said, I've got a really good kid on my hands who's really true to herself.
Mhm.
I'm sure as heck not going to throw her in an identity crisis that took me 35 years to get out of.
Right.
If I've got a 14-year-old already with a pretty level head on her, I should cultivate that
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
not start going the opposite way. So, um, and then too, just like, you know, it's really, really hard to come to a realization with our own family members. We tend to cut them a lot of slack and let them get away with a lot. And so
Why?
if I don't know, because literally I had a consultation with my attorney over all of this stuff on Monday, and he's like, I see it all the time. He looked right at me and he was like, why are we even having this conversation? Like his assistant's an ex-Jehovah's Witness either. So he really understands the religion and the shunning, and he's like, if they cut you off, why have you even been allowing this? And I'm like, I was trying to do the right thing. I was trying to be fair to everybody. Like I was trying not to be the bad guy. I was trying to be the guy that stood and said, "Look, I've been super nice. I've been super lenient. You can't come at me like that." Like,
You try to come to them on their level because that's what we were trained to do as good salespeople. We try to establish that common ground because you want to make that sale, you want to win them over. So you do go out in service in 20-degree weather and snowstorms and rain and 95-degree weather because you have a passion, you have this compassion for people and you want to help them. And that's why, you allow things to go a little bit further than the normal person, the normal worldly person would allow, because you do, you want their love, right? No one's trying to break up a family.
Yeah.
And I think that
Yeah.
that's what we need to talk about and make clear. Like, we're not purposely trying to break up families or take people out of your life. We just want to be able to live and be who we were created to be, and love for that individual.
Yep.
When you think
Yep.
about growing up outside of the organization, if you can, because a lot of my memories happened around a meeting. But if you can think back to the times outside the organization when you spent time with your mother and father, what is it that you miss?
Um, I think we have this common love for nature. Um, so like right now, I still love to camp, and we have a lot of creeks and rivers, and um, I miss watching my dad's creativity. And he's very brilliant at the end of the day. He has a very brilliant mind. And I miss that bond, especially that we would have in nature. Um, I even miss right now, like both of my parents are still self-employed, and my mom has a consignment boutique in one of the downtowns around here, and there's so much potential with that in, again, our creativity, social media, like there's so many ways to like make her business really successful. And Adrienne has tried, and she's so opposed to change and thinking outside the box, and it's just overwhelmingly frustrating that I feel like I know these people deep down inside, but it's snuffed out by this controlling cult. Their potential is capped because you're not allowed to be worthy in a high control cult. They want to keep you miserable. They want to keep you small. My parents are not small people.
Right.
They're not small mentally or with their personality, but they're gone. They're
Mhm.
gone. Um, I've had to almost mourn them since the incident, because they're it's just unforgivable at this point. And I've had to adapt this other meme or something I heard. Maybe it was a article or something, but it was just pretty much, your family loves you unconditionally. They accept you for who you are and what you are. Your relatives
Mhm.
are people that have come to you by relations,
Mhm.
and they are just your relatives at the end of the day. Their words and their actions will prove whether they're family or not. So maybe I don't have a mom and dad, but I have a couple I'm friends with that I am even employed by, and that's my big brother and my big sister, you know. And I've got a lot of cousins and a lot of friends, and I'm an only child. But I have a lot of siblings. I have a lot of family members within my healthcare community that I work in.
Yeah.
Because we lock arms and we take on the challenges, and I'll turn right to the guy and be like, "Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, like that was awesome." So uh you have to create your own family. Don't get your relatives mixed up with your family.
That's beautifully put.
Yeah.
Amazingly put.
Yeah.
Um, think about if you could have 2 minutes with the governing body in Bethel.
Oh, wow. Only 2 minutes?
Only two
I'm a
minutes
little long-winded,
because you know
Summer, if
they're
you
gonna go
haven't already
left
noticed
real
that.
quick.
Oh, how am I gonna put that in 2 minutes?
Yeah, boil it down. Like, if you could just tell them maybe a few things that you want them to know about what Cheri experienced and the aftermath of being a Jehovah's Witness, what would you say?
You all are disgusting. Your thoughts, your actions, your love of control and manipulation, it's disgusting. You're hurting people and you're lying about God. You're lying. Summer, I wanted to be an atheist. I wanted it. I literally had the thought process of, okay, what is it? How do I get there?
Right.
Sign me up. Do I get a
Right.
name badge or like
Right.
whatever?
Right.
And I was like, I want to be, because I'm done. Like there's just got to be no way. Like religion is stupid, church is stupid, God is stupid, like it's
Yep.
all stupid.
Yeah.
And again, it was nature that I sit down by a creek. I grow plants
Mhm.
or whatever, and I get my cat or animals, and I'm just like, wait a minute, there's just no way that there was like a big bang and all this just kind of fell into place. It's funny because I believe in evolution. Evolution's all over nature. Things evolve.
Mhm.
But I just couldn't get away from like this absence of a creator. So I'm still trying to kind of figure things out. Like I said, I believe in God, but I still go back and forth.
Yeah.
Is there really one? And then I find myself like asking him, so I'm like, I'm kind
Right.
of all over the place. But I really wanted to be, because I
Yeah.
felt,
Hurts.
especially I was lied about God. Yeah, I was hurt. There's obviously no true religion. There were some things that I appreciated and I admired about the Jehovah's Witnesses, that I was like, maybe they've got it figured out. And then I started really learning the truth about the truth. And I'm like, all right, well, if they don't have it figured out, sure as hell nobody else does. So
Mhm.
I wanted to be in that place, and I just couldn't get myself there. And then it was just almost like he started overly proving himself and his existence to me.
Mhm.
And then I had to deal with like a little bit of a bout of anger.
Yeah.
And it still takes me a minute to keep up with the current things that they're saying. Again, I can only really do it through Lloyd Evans, because he simplifies it down, just keeps it to the facts, and then his rebuttals are very comforting, because you go off on the tangent, and it either is infuriating or it's triggering, and then he comes right back on, and here he gives the facts, and he
Right.
calls a spade, and you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. And so then I really got to the point where I was like, you are twisting the Bible, you are lying about God, and you, as an organization, are completely contradictive to Christ or the example of Christ.
Yeah.
Like, but you refer to him, most of your rules are based off of things that he said. I'm like, the Good Samaritan, the prodigal son, and how does that support the disfellowshipping, shunning it all?
Yeah.
Even the sheep that wandered off. I've been disfellowshipped twice, and I was like, why did I do something wrong and you cast me out? Jesus never told the story of grabbing a sheep by the neck and tossing him off the ridge. Find your own way back, you weirdo. He never did that. He went and found it, and he brought it to the middle of the flock, and the flock was to like protect it, because this is a lost sheep. We gotta get him to understand this is the place to be. So I'm like, I'm supposed to be here, but I'm not allowed to come in until the meeting starts.
Right.
This is the only true religion, but I'm not allowed to talk to anybody.
Or ask
If I'm
questions.
wandering off, why do you keep pushing me?
Yeah.
Where am I
Yeah.
supposed to go? Like,
Right. Yeah.
I just
And yeah, and I
never.
think that's what you wrestle with when you make the decision to leave. because I know I did. I was like, now what do I do? Like, what am I? Am I Baptist? Am I atheist? Am I agnostic? Like, what am I? And that's part of the identity crisis that we talked about, even in the religion and outside of the religion. I just want
Yeah.
people to know that it's okay if you don't figure it out, right? One of my very close friends who became my god brother thought enough of me to say, like, you don't have to focus on religion, focus on relationship, getting to know your creator, whether you call him God or the universe or what have you. That's what's important, your relationship. And so many times we get confused and bogged down with signing up for a certain religion, signing up to not be in any religion, that we forget to or ignore some of the other things that are very clear, like you said. So I think it's good to talk about that and to let people know that ones that thinking about leaving, or the ones that have already left, recently left, or still trying to find their way, like you
Yeah.
don't have to figure it out all at once. You can be 10,000 things if you want. You could take a little bit of everything and believe whatever it is, that you want to believe. You're not obligated anymore. I think that's what's very important, because you're dealing with so many feelings of guilt and shame and rejection that you don't want to feel that at all. And so either you cross God out altogether,
Yeah.
or you wander around lost and feeling like you have to make a decision. You have to like get on one side or another. And
Yes.
it's okay if you
Yes.
don't know. It's
Yes.
okay if you have to figure it out for a while, because guess
I
what?
love that.
The Jehovah's Witnesses are still figuring out. They don't even know when the end is going to come. So nothing
So
else.
when's the new light coming? Or the new light? Like, you guys don't have lifetime light bulbs?
Right.
Like, God changes his mind on that scripture, even though it was written like a billion years ago.
Yeah. There's
So
always new light.
I love that you said all of that, because I have almost wanted to like put a PSA out there to anyone, if you're atheist and you are or agnostic, and you have reasons why, and you're comfortable with that, I respect it. And we can still have a conversation at the end of the day, and I still support you and love you for who you are. But I think I want to speak to those that maybe identify as agnostic or atheist. And again, just like with the family stuff, be vulnerable enough with at least just yourself to ask yourself, why am I identifying that way? And as uncomfortable as it might seem, please go enough layers deep to make sure that you say you don't believe in God because you have founded proof on why you feel that way, not because you were lied to, not because you have an identity crisis, not because somebody that you trusted led you the wrong way. Because at the end of the day, that's not really who you are then. You're identifying it as something that someone else already created a foundation for. You figure it out for you, and it's okay to do that, and it's going to be uncomfortable and it might be painful, but I want you to get there. If you're atheist, I want you to be confidently there. If you don't feel like you are, if that's what your identity, if that's what you're identifying as, because you're still angry and you're hurt and you were lied to, well, that's okay too.
Right.
And if you get to a place where you want to figure it out, again, I'm also here. Let's figure it out. Because like I said, I say my prayers at night and I still have questions through the day.
That's right.
I really do. And if there really is a God, then he's going to meet me where I'm at with that. I'm going to say, if I get to heaven, I'm right in front of the big guy and I'm like, oh, okay, well, now it's for real.
I believe that.
And I'll be
Not
like,
really,
hey,
no.
sorry for that like couple years that I was like, you know the thing. And he'll be like, I know, it's all right. I knew where you were at. I knew where you were at and you didn't even know where you were at. I still love you, and I think that's kind of how Christ was.
Exactly.
you
That is
know.
exactly how it is. It's not conditional. And when I left and I found out that God accepts me for wherever I am, because I had that moment too where I was angry and I actually prayed to God and broke up with him. It's like, listen,
Hmm.
I was a Slave Pioneer, regular pioneer. Like I did all the things you asked me to do, and I still am going through this. No, I'm good.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
he still didn't turn his back on me, and he still and then I had the nerve to pray a few days later, a week later, and ask for some money. So I was all kinds of twisted up, and he gave it to me, and I was like, oh, well, maybe
Yep.
there's God. But
Yep.
and that all of that is okay. All of that is part of the healing process, and there isn't a wrong way to heal. And everybody does it different.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what
Bathroom
people.
break. Are we allowed to take bathroom breaks?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Okay, cool. 5 minutes.
Yep. So we said what we wanted to say to the parents that are raising kids, and they have Jehovah's Witness relatives. I love how you broke that down, by the way. And we've also mentioned what we would say to the governing body if we had the moment to say that. Um, is there anything that you would like for your parents to really understand that you haven't been able to articulate just yet?
You are too amazing to be the victim of this high controlled, disgusting cult. I still remember the conversation I tried to have with my dad in November of 2020. We had yet another family incident in that uh, October, the month before. And my dad and I, for the first time, was able to actually kind of sit down and have a conversation. And it went back and forth, and it didn't really accomplish anything, but we were at least two similar, stubborn, bullheaded people, and we were able to at least kind of have a chit chat longer and a little bit better than my last conversation where I tried to kind of, you know, tell him about the elder's manual and all of that. So November of last year, I remember how my dad talked about being a fighter for justice, that he was fair and he was just. And I remember just being so sad because you have no idea, you're so tied to a religion that is literally abusing people and covering it up. You're in the most unjust organization for being someone who literally would take his shirt off his back,
Yeah.
and give it to somebody else.
Mhm.
My dad is not the angry person that pushes his daughter up against the wall with his hand around her throat. But that is who my father has become because of this disgusting cult.
Mhm.
And so again, I really love my parents. I love who they are, and I think they're beautiful and brilliant people. And I have watched that die
Hmm.
along with our relationship. They're being manipulated, or being manipulated. They're being manipulated. There it is.
Mhm.
Um, they're being lied to,
Yeah.
not only about God, but also about their daughter.
Right.
Um, and every beautiful aspect about their personality is being extinguished or capped.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly unfair, but I also don't have any control over that.
Yeah.
And I've tried after the incident, that weekend, after the assault, my mom pulled my dad off of me, and continued to go back and forth. She had to kind of stay in front of him to keep him from coming at me again. I finally put my hands up and I was done with the conversation when they started going off on the persecution complex. You're here to attack our religion, and they said we would be attacked. That was another thing that really kind of set the mama bear off in me, because my daughter was not witness to any of this, thank God. She was at home, so she wasn't even with us in the truck or anything. But she knew something was going on, and I think she had tried to call my mom a few times, but my mom didn't pick up. They were talking to the cops, and I was at the police station. But I think later that evening, which is where then I knew they were blatantly lying, because they lied to my daughter. My daughter literally had to come to me and say, "Are you telling the truth?" And I'm like, Adrian, what? No excuse to make this up or lie.
Right. Right.
But she also shared that my mom said to her that this is what they've been training for. This is what they've been preparing for. That tells me you think you're being attacked, and you think I'm being the attacker, and it's the other way around.
Right.
You are after my kid to save her from the end of the world and to save her from me. And one, that's not your responsibility. And two, you're being lied to about what she needs to be saved from. I'm working with attorneys and prosecutors right now, and I'm like trying to get them to understand I'm not afraid of the boogeyman. I don't have an ex-husband that I'm dealing with, like maybe the norm. I'm like really afraid of my kid being taken to an underground bunker if the governing body said so. Like,
Yeah.
that's my legitimate fear. How do you get anybody to understand that? So I just, between my parents as people, their recent behavior, and knowing just enough of like what they're being told and how they're being coerced, it's just, I would just tell them that they're too good for this bull crap. And that's a weird predicament. I feel like a lot of us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses are going to start being in a weird predicament. Maybe it's why I reached out and went ahead and said, okay, I'll share my story. I'll share my story for the mom that can't stand up for herself. I'll tell my story for the kid that had an identity crisis until they were almost 40. I'll tell my story just for the sake of telling my story, because as much as we want the truth to come out, the Jehovah's Witnesses to be accountable for their policies, for their abuse, for the damage they've already been done, you are dealing with narcissistic people with a persecution complex that the more the hammer comes down, the more they feel justified, the more they feel right about their lies and delusion, and the crazier they act. So I might be crazy right now to be like, I'm afraid of my child being, like, oh, can we take Adrian out for ice cream? And I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with that? And an hour later, she's not back. 2 hours later, I can't get a hold of her,
Right.
And then I get like this cryptic message of like, well, we have followed what the governing body said, and I know it sounds ludicrous, so they're like, okay, she's hiding out in a bunker somewhere,
Yeah.
but it's actually, it could be a reality. If we've seen anything with the COVID pandemic, as soon as you think something's crazy, it gets crazier. And that's just our government at the end of the day,
Yeah.
So this governing body and this destructive organization, like, if you think it's crazy, it might just happen. Like, it's okay to stand up for yourself. It's okay to be protective. It's okay to cut them off. if that's the best thing to do, no matter how hard it is.
Right.
And if I can give any word of caution, do the hard thing now instead of having to backtrack and do the hard thing eventually.
Right.
So
what do you say to your daughter? If you could think about your daughter being 18, you think about where she is right now at 14. And let's fast forward to when she's 18, and like, what would you say to her at 18-year-old that you want her to know of why you fought so hard?
That I truly think it's a beautiful thing how comfortable she is in her own skin, and that I would literally fight tooth and nail to make sure she was given that opportunity. You know, sometimes at the end of the day, we just want our kids to be able to enjoy Christmas like we didn't. Every birthday of hers is a big deal to me, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and she's like, she could care less. You know, she's like, I want to keep it chill. And I was like, no, we're doing Chuck E. Cheese and Dave and Buster's and like a music park all in one day.
Right.
Like, oh God, you know. And so I just want her to know my goal at the end of the day is that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong unless you are hurting yourself or you're hurting someone else. There's nothing wrong with you. You're allowed to be whoever you want, believe and think whatever you want. And I love you unconditionally. I love you enough to heal myself, to heal our family, and to even do the hard things I've had to do so that you don't find yourself at 18. I got baptized when I was 18. So I'm like, there's the end of the road. I'm an adult. I actually dug out old pictures. I was in a drama as a little girl.
Oh, wow.
I met governing body member.
Oh, wow.
What was his name? Daniel Sidlick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I don't feel bad about showing his picture because he's passed away now. I do have a group picture of me at Unassigned Territory, but I won't. It's got a lot of people's faces in it.
Right.
But what was it? 3/30 of 03. I got baptized. Yeah. 3/30 of 03. And this is a picture. I'm going to cover up this little girl's face, but there is the picture.
Oh, wow.
Of my mom and dad and me, and I'm 18. I just got baptized. And my mother will still say to this day, she doesn't have much of a smile.
Right.
Because she knew I didn't mean it. She knew I didn't want it. It's like, I feel like even when I tried to do my best,
yeah, wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough. And I just don't want Adrienne to have to be that kind of person.
Yeah.
I want her to say, this is me as Adrienne, and, you know, take it or leave it. And she's already developing that at 14. Why would I extinguish that? You know?
Absolutely.
And so at the end of the day, it's got to be worth it.
Yeah. And just so you know, like we're fighting along with you, you know,
Yeah.
as your family, as your cousins, as your brothers, your sisters. We are definitely here for you and Adrienne. And we just really appreciate you opening up and sharing your story with us. And, you know, we will definitely be checking in with you again. And we'll definitely be praying for you all and sending positive, you know, vibes your way, and just really hoping that everything works out for the best for you and your family. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And we'll just
Thank you for all that you guys are doing. I mean, I know you're helping a lot of people. As you said, the project is healing for you guys. I now know that these interviews have got to be healing for folks, because it's, like you said, it's very isolating, and then we're all up in our heads and we think we're the only ones, and we're not. We're just, we're not. And I love the aspect you're coming from, like with empowering women as well.
Yeah.
Which I got started on that tangent real quick before we end, because women are like so oppressed within the religion. I never understood that either.
Yep.
I've joined a church. I go to Grace Point in Bentonville, just the next town over. And it's very like non-denominational. They're actually going to be part of a program called Churches That Heal. And it's really like just taking on your past crap and dealing with that. If God works in with that, great. If he doesn't, whatever. But it was actually through an interview with an ex-Bethelite that Lloyd Evans did that I really found out about the Elder's Manual. And I found about all the rules associated with the Elder's Manual. Do you understand that it's under lock and key at Bethel?
Yep.
You got to sign in each copy and you got to sign it out. Yep. Do you know that women are not allowed to touch it? Okay. Yep. So then when I really started finding it, and then on the ex-Jehovah's Witness groups on Facebook, people are sharing the PDF. And so I'm finally like looking at it at my phone, and I realized the rules are: don't copy it. Don't go and get it spiral bound. And again, from that interview, women aren't allowed to touch it.
Yeah.
So I took it to Staples. And for $43.63, I copied it. I spiral bound it. And I'm a woman. All over it. All over
Love it.
And you know what's hilarious is I am a better witness now than I ever was when I was a witness. Because I've even gone through this and like studied it.
Yeah.
And made notes on the side.
Yeah.
And I started looking down going, this is what my watchtowers were supposed to look like. And they were sometimes just highlighted with color so people thought I studied the night before, right? But I'm like, oh my gosh, now that I'm in it. Like I'm studying it.
Yeah.
Like I never have a single watchtower in my life.
Right. That's awesome.
And I was just like, I am more thorough and more in depth than I ever was as a witness. So,
wow.
If you haven't been able to tell that at the end of the day, no matter like what shit I go through, I have to keep my humor at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why this is the best $43 I've ever spent. Because I'm like, this is like the trifecta of apostate rule breaking.
Yeah, I love it.
I copied it, I bound it, and I'm a lady touching it. Like, what you gonna do?
Now what you gonna do? Exactly. Well, I'm gonna raise my glass to you because I feel like we have to deem you the best apostate ever.
Surely not. I don't think so. Maybe we'll have an Apostate Academy Awards one day in the future. And for the best rule breaker, the nominees are,
There you go.
Cheri Clarke Spencer took home the Oscar.
Exactly. I love it. I love the idea. Thank you so much for sharing your story tonight, Cheri. I appreciate you. We love you. We're here for you. And cheers, lady. Love you.
Cheers. Cheers to all of you out there as well. Keep on keeping on.
Absolutely.